and not everyone's super high, right? So, but at least we'll make everybody it feels a little bit better. Okay, start our first poll. Today, our topic will be version control, Git workflow. So, getting a little techier right now, starting this lecture. So, but as usual, I will poll everywhere. Please click into that. Double check whether the link works. And I will start with, wait, no, that's not the right one, sorry. The new one. So, all right, this time the first question is, what's the one thing from the past week that brought you joy? So give me a keywords. What's the one thing that's from last week that make you less stressed, brought you joy? So, yeah. Everybody can see it? Any problems with the link on it? Just a reminder for grading attendances, Diane mentioned that remember, being in class doesn't get you a class attendance credit. You either have to be in here and answer at least one poll to get your class credit, or I mean attendance credit, or you don't have to show up at all, but get 70% correct on the class assessment. Okay, so. The registration required. Oh, no. Did you log in?
Yeah.
Using USC?
Yes.
Mine also says I need like pre-registration.
Pre-registration. Okay, let me fix that. Thank you for bringing it up. Price, right? So let's see. Everyone at oh no, not very. Yeah, let's fix that.
No, you should have.
You lost. We can put it here. It's showing up.
I just opened it.
Yeah, it says we need to log in, right? Can you, Bryce, can you try to sign out from a poll everywhere and log in using your USD email one more time? Yeah, don't, I prefer them, they not do it because then we won't be able to do the cost credit that way.
Still not working.
I see 9 responses coming in.
Crazy.
Basically, it's just probably.
Okay. Can you try to help Bryce and see what he's looking at? Sorry, what's your name again? One more time. Christina. You also have the same thing?
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah, I received 9 responses already, so some of you are working, some of you are not working, so Ja is coming over to help.
So not something on his end, it's just he has to register.
Friends have.
There are accounts.
Not, I haven't registered anybody.
It's like you're being
Why there's zero response. Ben, do you have problem answering that?
I just logged in with my.
That's all.
Yeah, mine works fine.
And if you log out, log back.
Yeah.
Good thing that we don't have a long class content today, so let's spend some time. Poll everywhere has been giving us problem for multiple times now. Let's tackle this problem together. Get it done. Get it over with. Audience restriction. Let everyone screening. I'm changing the audience and restrictions to everyone. Let's see if it does anything.
Try to refresh.
It's working.
It's working now?
For you?
Okay.
Is it working for Bryce?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's working now.
Okay, I guess I have to let me try to make sure the availability for everyone. No restrictions. Okay, thank you. By saying thank you in telling me that you love the sweets, that mean you feel joy. And Friday, the only bad thing from last week is we're 3 points off from winning the games. It was so close, right? So literally, I was up 3 o'clock in the morning in Hong Kong watching the game, but it was a good game though. This week we're gonna win for sure. All right. Okay. Coming back to, for Git, if you know how to work Git really well, you're already very professional. Trust me. Even though it looks sometimes a little messy, but to get a hold of how to use Git it's not like super required from the design perspective. But if you do know how to use it, the engineers will try to BS less to you as a design if you were a designer. Okay, so that's how a benefit the Git will bring you. So who had some type of a version control experience before? Git is one type of version control. That's the topic. But who had some of the version control experience before? I think Nick, Megan, and then Sophia, if you do some reactions, we can see that as well on the screen. I have all of you on the screen now. And okay, Nick has some, oh, sorry, everyone, let's mute our phone together, please. I forgot to do that. Let's do that. Okay, sorry. It's sort of urgent, so let me set it quickly. Sorry about that. urgent matter, that's why. It usually had an automatically do not disturb, but if they some urgent contact, they will be able to reach me. Sorry about that. And okay, and so Nick has some experience. Anybody else?
Also.
Oh, sorry. Who?
All three of them.
All three of them had some experience about version control. Ben, you had some? Let me mute this. All right.
Like I used GitHub before, but I'm not sure what Git workflow is. So that's it.
Okay, so you use some, okay, has anybody used the GitHub before? A lot of you. So it's essentially you're basically a version control system. So GitHub is, we'll talk about the differences, okay? So it's good. You all already knew how to use it, half of you. But we'll talk about what is it, right? Why we're using it today. Okay, so. Right, let me hide this desktop for now. Okay. All right, so Git, version control, also known as source control, is the practice of tracking and managing changes to software code, right? So all of you who have used GitHub before, obviously, you know that you're putting stuff on there and it's keep tracking the changes, right? In short, it's similar to where Google Drive, we can see all the old versions of their file, right? As simple as that. But we usually use that for coding. So Git is the software and the most popular right now as part of the version control software, right? So Git, not GitHub, Git itself is a software. It's more like a Google, more like a Microsoft doc, right? Doc is Word documents is a software that can read a document with docx, right? Git is a software that help you manage your code in the file. Okay. So other softwares out there like SVN, I started with SVN, Subversion, right? It's some of the companies in the industry are still using this. Not as useful as Git. Git became very super popular and powerful because of GitHub. That's why when we talk about Git now, everybody think about GitHub, right? Or sometimes it's even harder to even think of to distinguish the difference. CVS, SVN, etc. There's a bunch of others, right? So we use Git in our class to track the development processes. That's the whole reason we're using it. But really, you can use it for anything, for any file tracking, okay? So version control, by looking at just its term, anybody give me a guesstimate, what does it mean as version control? We just talked about it, right? So a version control track of different versions of your file, right? So you can, then it's act more like a time machine. We'll talk about it more. So the next question is, what's the difference between Git and a GitHub? Right, everybody used the GitHub before, but what's the difference between the two? Go ahead.
GitHub is like a website, while Git, I believe you install on your computer and use through like the control panel.
Great, that's a good actual explanation of the difference. So yes, GitHub is the server, is the website, is on the cloud, it's in the cloud, where it's the server side of it, and where Git is the software, is more like the Microsoft Word or Adobe Reader, right? So it's and versus the file is your source code. We read through that Git file to then track everything, right? So we'll keep a version on the server, which is GitHub, And we can also do all the version tracking on your desktop without a GitHub. You can still on your own computer, more like a mic time machine, where you can roll back to different backups, right? So it's a Git on your computer is more like a time machine thing. Where you can within a folder or within a project or within a repository, which we're going to talk about in a bit, you can roll back to different versions, right? Git is the software that manages the versions of the file. And versus GitHub give you a server, cloud server, where you can save all your files on there. It's more like a Google Drive or OneDrive, where you put all your files on there and you can download it and use it whenever you want. And you can upload it too. So other service that's available for as a server as well is Bitbucket. So easier to think about it is Git plus Hub is GitHub, right? The Hub is where we think about it as a cloud server, right? So GitHub is the server that can help you host your Git files, right? Versus without the GitHub, you can use Git on your own computer. You can track it. You can track your different versions of your projects too, okay? And obviously GitHub is a popular one. All the open resources, engineering community, they started by allowing people to use it for free. So you can open up your community and engineering community, post your files on there. So it builds a huge user base. So everybody's talking about using GitHub to exchange everything. And as a good engineer, you can build your portfolio on there, right? Because when you upload your code on there, because everybody can see your history, right? You open sourced it, so they know how good you are, how much you can contribute to your own projects or even to other projects, right? Then you become more like a famous person, similar to be on Instagram. You're a code master. You can do your own projects and you can help other projects all the time. So it become a community versus just a server, right? So GitHub at the core is a server, but it's also a community platform. That's why it's so popular. But versus a Bitbucket is more enterprise owned, right? Bitbucket is provided by Atlassian, which is an Australian public company that also Trello is owned by Atlassian as well, right? There's Jira, Trello, Bitbucket. These are all enterprise grade services that provided by Atlassian. And sorry for the Trello problem. We signed up for some discount. They didn't approve it for some reason. I just paid it last night by myself. So don't worry about it. And we'll try to fix it, work on it together to get all the assignment 6 submitted by today. It's already extended, okay? And other services, you can literally build your own Git server yourself if you were to have a server, and you can provide a Git server yourself. And so AWS also works. Any cloud server, you can make it a Git server, a cloud server. All right, so any questions so far? Simple, right? So just the difference between the two. One is the server, one is the software that manages it. And here comes poll number 2. What are the hosting services for Git? Select all that apply. Great, majority of you answered. As I mentioned earlier, Git, anybody can make a Git server, right? So GitHub is a popular free version, community version of a Git server. Bitbucket is usually used enterprise grade. Obviously, AWS, you can use it as well because AWS is a cloud server. You can pretty much do anything cloud server based on there. You can build your own cloud server and put the Git a Git cluster around there as well, right? So the right answer is all three of them. Git, GitHub, Bitbucket, AWS, all three of them can be the Git server. And what is a repository? What is a repository? Well, as I wrote down there, a repository often referred as a repo, right? Think about it as a folder. Like our group projects, we made a Google Drive folder for you, right? So when we start using Git, you can move everything over, and that's one place that holds your entire project. Everything can be in there. Code, picture, comments, instructions, right? So each repo is a single file. We'll compress it into a single file that Git software can read and give you all the history of it. We'll talk about how to use them, right? But when we talk about, hey, ITP-460 repo, it usually refers to our project about ITP-460, right? So when we talk about Team Alpha repo, we're talking about, hey, this is the project files they're working on. It's on, for our class purposes, we're using Git because it's free, right? So a repo is a repository, full name repository. And documentations, code, resources are all stored. Okay? You know, engineers always wanted to make fancy word out of it, but just think about it as an all project file all at once called a repo. It's easy. Okay? So how does a repo works? So basically it's one folder, as I mentioned, right? Or one single place of files and everything in there. You can distribute it to everyone all together, right? So that's the beauty of it is working together, right? And the second beauty of it is to track and consolidate. When we have multiple people working on the same thing, it's a chaotic just to keep different files, different versions, who's gonna do what, and consolidate it together. And this is the beauty of a version control system. Not because it has a backup function to it, or by default, you can time track it, time machine it going back, but by being able to consolidate it, everybody's working together easily, that makes a lot of difference. And there's a lot of jokes to talk as well, which we're gonna mention a couple in a bit. So some of the Git vocabularies to remember, right? So repo already talked about it. A branch is usually refers to one copy or individual version of this code, right? You're working on more like not exactly like a subfolder, but it's a copy of the code that you work on. And you can work on this separately. And then you can combine your branch with the other branch to consolidate, right? So think about, they're using an analogy using trees. The branch is more like a one thing sticking out, but you wanted to merge it back to the trunk eventually, right? To follow the full version of it, which we're gonna see it on the picture, and then we're gonna practice it in class. The more that we practice it, the more visually you kind of get it. Well, it's very abstract from the beginning, right? It's a very abstract idea. When I first got into the version control, I got confused as well, but the more that I use it, the more that I get it. So we gotta learn and practice. And commit, think about as more as saving your work. You're working on something, you're working on a file, you made some changes, you want to commit it to save your changes. If you don't commit it, you want to discard it, all your changes will be gone. So no, it's not going to be tracked, it's not going to be saved. So commit is more like a saving. Push means push all your changes from your local computer to a server. Pull is to get all the updated files from the server down to your computer. You might working on your own thing. You don't know what's changed from on the server by others, right? But you want a latest update from all the new files, even though you're working on your own thing. By using, you need to pull first, right? So, and then the last thing is merge, right? So once I get everybody else's work and I have my own copy, and before I want to make it available to everyone on the server again, guess what? I want to merge it. I want to merge my work into the mainstream and then make it available, push it back up, right? So a common practice is every time we're working on our own computer, we'll pull first, merge, and push, right? Always pull, merge, push. Get the latest, merge my own, make it available for someone, for everyone, right, on the server, right? So these are the cute little terms that you gotta use a lot. There's a lot of the others like reverse tagging, etc. Not so much word used all the time, but would touch upon it a little bit. Okay. So let's talk about this complex picture a little bit, right? So this is the full flow. Before we actually get into this, let's do another poll. Where's your Git repo stored? Sorry, it looks like it's missing a server option, huh? It's just local. Oh, there is one. Okay, sorry. It's good, just not in the responses. Okay, I'm seeing responses coming in. All right, so again, the repo can be stored. The correct answer is both, right? The repo can be stored on your own computer to track your own versions or changes, or it can be uploaded to the cloud as well. So the correct answer is both, right? So a repo considered as a entire project files all in one thing called a repo repository. Okay. Now let's look at this complex workflow. This is a timeline. This is each of your versions of a file. And then we have a featured branches, development branch, release branch, hotfix branch, master branch. And we'll have different tags. And we have different comments as well. Okay, so let's look at this one by one. So let's start with the simplest thing. Master and development branches, right? So let's say if you only have one project and you're working by yourself only, you don't have anybody collaborating with you. Pretty much all you need is this two. Master branch is a finalized copy, right? Remember we're talking about a shippable, deliverable copy at the end of each sprint, right? So every Tuesday night, we'll have something ready and then we're ready to give it to our customer, right? So all the finalized copy, we usually put it on a master or release branch, right? But master branch is good enough for you working by yourself. And we'll tell it version 0.1, and then we'll give it to our client. We'll work on the development branch for making more copies, making more edits, coding more. And once we're done with the changes, we merge it from the development branch back to the master branch, right? So this is the working copy in the development branch. You work on it, you work on it, you work on it. Done. I'm ready to give it to our customer again. We merge it back to the master branch. And then we call it the new version 0.2. All right. Keep going. Working, merge, release, right? If you were just to work by yourself, this is the simple workflow that you're using Git for on a repository. Simple, right? Just work, print, copy, give it to your customer, right? Simple as that. And when you have more people, or when you have more things together, then you have more branches, right? So besides, let's still use it as a master. Sometimes master branch also is called as main branch, same thing. Master branch, main branch, same thing, okay? So master branch will have a finalized copy. Development branch is kind of a working copy, but consolidated. Feature branch is, hey, here's a, let's use the same, like writing an essay as an example, right? Me and Christina are both working on it. I will write the first paragraph, Christina will write the second paragraph, but we will all take it from the original file, and each of us will work on it separately. And when I finish writing my first paragraph, I will merge it back into the file. I'll copy and paste back into the file, make sure that's the working copy will have my work in there, right? When I have my own copy working on it, the development copy doesn't have it. But Christina will work on her copy before she merges to the actual release copy. She need to work on the copy with my work in there to consolidate, right? The purpose is that each of us will work separately before we release it. If she were to merge it back into here, then everything will make available to everyone. But in this particular picture, this version that we released, we will not have what Christina worked on, right? They only have my paragraph, not hers. But it shows the workflow that we both are working. We started with the same copy. She doesn't have my content yet, right? By the time we released it, it only has my writing, not hers. Okay. A little bit more complicated is when we adding a release server, then sometimes we like to test our finalized work internally before we make it to 1 million people, especially large software like USC's website or Facebook, right? So then we'll have two servers mirror one to the other. One is with this gigantic data center that can serve 1 million people. The other one is a very scaled version, but essentially the same environment where you can put your copy on there for internal review, call it a beta release or whatsoever, right? Then you can create a new release branch. You either make the master branch to be the production server or the release branch to be the staging server, or reverse is the same thing too. Just by adding one more branch, you can have an internal server has that copy and test it before you make it available to public. So these two branches are essentially the same all the time. You just facing different audiences, one internal, one external. Okay, so one copy consolidate multiple people's work, send it to a testing server for internal testing, make it available to public. Yeah. that's pretty much it. It's not that, this is essentially this in a vertical view, right? So the time from today goes on, people are working on some different branches, consolidate it back, and you wanted to release it, and then you want to make it into a production. Sometimes internal testing, they said, oh, that's not enough for the customer just yet, right? We need to keep building to it until we make it to the public again, right? And hotfix branch is, for our cost, we're not going to use it, but it's sometimes it's very useful, is that there's bug testing on release branch, on development branch. We all tested it, but still, when we push it to the public, like the new iPhone 16, there's a bug, right? So, but I'm sure that they're already tested on the internal release, they're already tested on the development already, but there's a bug. So they'll pull it back to the hotfix environment, they will try to fix it, and they will push it back out quickly. And they will fix it right away. They'll make it available right away, but they'll also tell internally, say, hey, take this fix and keep going. This is the fire pudding team that's working on it. All right. Any questions so far? Still a little out there. After in-class example today, we're probably gonna get more. Since you already, a lot of you have used it before, so it's a lot simpler, but the more that you use it, again, the more you'll get the visual of it. Okay, so that's the general content of our class for today. But the next section is an in-class example, team exercise, right? So we're gonna build, for those of you who hasn't had a GitHub account, I'm sure that now that all three teams has someone who's experienced with GitHub before. So for those of you who hasn't, go to the www.github.com, register your handle, GitHub handle, and then post your GitHub handle into Slack team in general channel. So everybody in class knows yours. And download the GitHub desktop, desktop.github.com, either a Windows laptop or a Mac laptop, both have a desktop version of it. And the goal of this in-class exercise is we need to first create a public repository. That's the reason is that it's free, and add all the team members in your create one repository for each of your team, just one public, and add all the team members in there, and then add CPs and me into your repo as well, so we can grade you, and create a readme.md file, and create a development branch or dev branch from a main branch. Again, main branch is a master branch. It's the same thing, right? So each team member creates their own feature branch from a development branch. Add your name and email to readme.md file, and merge your feature branch into development branch once. Go through this. And once all the team members merge their branch to develop, back to main branch. Again, main is master, is the same thing. Development branch or dev branch is the same thing. They're just using interchangeably. And notice that we're not using the release branch just yet. Okay, so this is the goal. And we can break into the groups. Before I let you break into the groups, there's a couple slides for reference, for your own reference. You can use Git as a master if you go through these branches. I'd like to talk about it a little bit. And for those of you who are interested, try this, right? So Git has a command line version, and desktop Git is a GUI version, graphic user interface version, right? So, if you're a geek, you developer, you probably will prefer a command line version of it. You can install Git using this one, like Windows, Linux-based or Unix-based system is the one on the top using the brew. And you can link your GitHub handle account by general personal token and install that with your command line. And then you can manage all your file, commit and submit using your command line. It's very useful. And then, well, this is just an example that I used for a ITP-460, right? So shows you a glance of in command line how to use git clone, git commit, push, checkout. Checkout is to make a new branch, push, etc. So refer to these steps if you like to use a command line, but it's perfectly okay if you just use a desktop version, GUI version of it, especially if, for those of you who are specialized as a graphical designer and it's visual is easier to working on pictures, etc. All right, so then just trust the process and practice, and we'll totally get there. Before we let you to break into the groups, more polls are coming. The next poll is if you want to implement a specific function for your product, which of the following branch should you write to? Smart. Okay, this is better. All right. 80% of you got it correct. Unless you're working by yourself, you can just do development and master, right? So otherwise, if you're working in teams, always write your own thing in feature and then merge it back to the development and test it in development, and then merge it to the master branch, right? When it starts years ago when first version control system came out, and we also call master branch or main branch a trunk branch, right? So trunk, sorry, not a branch anymore. It's a trunk. It's the actual tree, the main thing, right? So whoever breaks the trunk will get penalized by, doing 100 push-ups or buying everybody's coffee or anything, right? So you wanted to test everything in development branch before you release it, right? So you don't want to break them. So you want to write everything yourself in your feature, and you wanted to merge whatever is available to your feature branch first to try to test it, and then push it back to the development branch so everybody has a working code. So your own feature branch, if it's broken, it will not affect development or the master. So does that make sense? So what you experience is, trust me, by working together, it always happens. And especially when you're trying to rush for a deadline and everybody, oh, we all done this, and then let's get together and merge it together. And suddenly everybody's individual copy works, but when it merges together, it breaks. So it's very frustrating. So I recommend all of you, since one of the meetings is to have everyone in class, meet at least once a week, right? So to do the merges when everybody's present, right? So that's the easiest way to do that. And next one. After making changes, what are the commands you use to sync them to the server? All right, you got it all right. So save it, push it, right? Okay, let's just one little thing. Let me finish talking about the assignments and one extra thing that, before I let you break into the team exercises. And once you're done with the team exercises, check out with me and Ja, make sure you've done it correctly, and then you're free to go, right? So we don't have to wait for everyone. So assignment, one more assignment for today is assignment number 7. So again, every little assignments from now on is help you to contribute to the final milestone. Grab more, right? So for those of you who wants more treats. For this is last week we done the wireframe and then usability testing. I hope all you guys had fun with them. Sometimes it can be awkward too. And this week we're making a full fidelity prototype. It has 2 weeks. It's not due until the next about a week after, right? So I marked it as 2 weeks. So don't rush out to get it done, but it's not bad to get it done within a week or so. But it's to build the full fidelity prototype and test it with the actual users. Okay, so all the requirements are down there. Again, it's contributing to your milestone number 1 for a midterm. So not actual work. Just I want to make sure that you're on progress. This is the deadline. Go get it. Go get it done. Okay, that's the assignment. And yeah, and Diane sent out an announcement. Just in case that you're actually interested in doing this. One of my friends, IP3 Lab, they're doing the private early screening for Joker 2 with they're partnered with the Batman, the family who created Batman, who's also a producer for Joker 2. If you wanted to go, just sign up using my name, like referred by me or something. I think they will put you in a different section. It's a big theater with 900 people in there, I think. So just not a marketing thing, just if you interested in going, I'm not. So yep, that's just little extra perks that I got. Happens to met her 2 weeks ago and she brought this one in. And I successfully made her to make sure that we have some season there and stuff. So okay. That's the 2 little thing. Assignment is 1 little thing. And any questions before we break into the in-class exercise? No, I know some of you have questions about Trello and submission. I'll be here, I will work with you. We're all good? Yeah, I'm heading out to Vancouver tomorrow. And then New York. I'll be back, I think, on next Wednesday morning, too, again, to meet you. So, if you have any suggestions on things that, I know New York pizza is good, but it won't be good if I bring it back. But if there's any thing that is good, I'll try to bring you a little treat there too, from there too. But as usual, one last some of you actually wrote in some good comments about suggesting how to make the class better. We'll get on it. And as usual, we would love to do the final poll of the day. Leave it on. Don't have to do it now until you're just finish it before you leave this class. That would be great. So the last one is. How do you like today's lecture? Did you learn something new? And what do you like to learn more about the topic? Every time I click on the notification, will change my screen. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's it. So stay in class. Let's start the in-class example, and me and Jia will be here going through the different groups, and we'll work on this number 2 submission as well. And just a quick reminder that we do see some for you to go into the Brightspace, my grades, you should be able to see some grades posted. We're still yet to figure out how to do the proportional weighted grading yet, right? So don't worry about the final grades. It's not correctly weighted right now, but for each of the assignments, some of you are missing out some points by missing some little details. For example, what was the example there?
Say someone forgot to send to upload a profile picture intro.
Yeah, if you don't want to show your face, put something on there, right? So we know.
Yeah, that's Diane's words. I'm not.
Hey her, don't hate Ja. But me and Ja can make sure that we can for those little things. If you've seen some points off, come and talk to us. We want to make sure that you will be pay attention to line by line for the assignments, but we might just add those points back for you. So if you forgot to do it, put something on there. Especially for profile pictures, it's very hard to read two-letter initials, right? To distinguish everyone from there. So if you don't like to put your picture on there, then put and fun logo generated from ChatGPT or something. So and don't make it the same as others. So we know it's you or you, right? So yeah, okay. All right, so feel free to go into the my grades and don't hesitate to fight for your points. Okay.